You're listening to a Soul One podcast.
We have a bit of a special, quick, short episode for you. We've still got our episode coming up next week. It's actually going to be out on Christmas Day as opposed to Boxing Day because Taylor and I are putting together a special Christmas review. So we'll have more information on that. It is a secret until Wednesday, but you can get our new episode this week on Wednesday as opposed to Thursday. But as you may have seen from the title, and if you're listening to this, I could not wait until then, or really give up any time in our next episode to talk about the new Superman trailer that just dropped now a couple of days ago. I have been a big fan of Superman for a long time. I do love the Marvel movies and everything they've done there, but the DC characters are more what I was familiar with growing up. You know, they had the old Superman movies, but, you know, all the cartoons and shows that I watched were usually Superman, Batman, Justice League, that kind of thing. And if you've listened to any of Screening in Kingston and you have me at Skip It, you know that I have been very critical of what they've been doing with the DC films for a while. So I thought I would give my thoughts and reactions to the Superman trailer that just dropped this week, directed by James Gunn, who I believe also wrote it. He was behind, for those Marvel fans, Guardians of the Galaxy. He directed and wrote all three of those films. He's done a lot in his filmography. He's kind of a unique film director. He uses music a lot in his particular films. He uses a lot of color, a lot of comedy. So really the anti-Zack Snyder, even though they started out working together. So this trailer, first and foremost, I thought the way the trailer was structured was really good. It opens up with a shot of what you can assume is up north, snow all on the ground. Superman crash lands somewhere in the snow. He's an adult. He's hurt. He whistles. And the Crypto the dog shows up and drags him somewhere. And Crypto the dog, we can talk about that like right off the bat. Taylor sent me a message that said that looks cheesy. It is from the comic books. Like Crypto the dog is someone who's like in the comic books and plays a relatively big role. I don't remember the exact origins of this dog, but we've never seen Crypto on television shows or movies for Superman. I think they may have had like a dog in Smallville that was kind of Crypto, but not really. So again, I don't really know where they're going with that. But that being an early part of the trailer doesn't surprise me with James Gunn in particular. So yeah, that is a little odd and a little thing that we'll wonder how they're going to pull this off. But aside from that, like as you get through the rest of the trailer, I think it looks pretty good. Rachel Brosnahan is playing Lois Lane. She was in Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, one of my favorite shows from the past couple of years. She just, in the few shots we have of her, she looks the part. It seems to work. I really like, I don't know offhand the actor's name who is playing Superman. I will look it up. I don't recognize him. I don't know if I've seen him before. But he's got a lot of big shoes to fill. David Cornsweet. I don't know who this is. Yeah, I don't recognize him. So I'm not 100% sure what he's been in. But he's somebody who he's very, very tall, which obviously will work. The thing that I think makes a good Superman is, can he pull off Clark Kent and Superman? And the few shots we have in this trailer of Clark Kent, I look at the way they've dressed him, the way he looks, and I go, yeah, there's no way that's Superman. So that's a good thing. Like, that's what you got to do with Clark Kent. That was sort of the biggest complaints about Henry Cavill is that he was never tall enough and he didn't really like fit the Clark Kent part. So far so good. And then when he like they show the shots of him and Superman, he looks like he fits the part. Again, it's good. This is an interesting trailer because as a teaser, there's no dialogue spoken in it, so I have no sense of their acting ability. It's all visuals with this sort of guitar riff on the Superman theme from the Christopher Reeves movies, which really suits, which really fits it. I've heard that James Gunn, as opposed to doing more soundtrack music, which is what he normally does, like Famous and songs from a particular era, it's actually going to be more of a scored movie. So it's going to probably feel more like classic Superman. And that's the one thing that I will say about this trailer is it feels more like the way I think of Superman as opposed to the way Zack Snyder thinks of Superman. This trailer is bright, it's colorful. I think it must be set in like the 70s, 60s, somewhere around then. I don't 100% know, but just from looking at the use of colors and the way people are dressed, I think it is a bit like they've picked a time and place. I could be wrong about that. Could be just a style choice, but it seems like they've picked a time in the past to set this movie. Nicholas Holtz looks really great as Lex Luthor. Again, there's no dialogue spoken, so I'm only going off of a couple shots in the trailers. He's bald. He looks menacing. One of the things with Lex Luthor is even though he's a human, he has to be so smart and manipulative and a savvy sort of business person that he could outwit Superman, because he cannot physically out muscle Superman. So he has to use his brain, he has to use his ingenuity, he has to be a real threat. So all those things we'll kind of see. Nicholas Holt's a really great actor from the X-Men series. He's been in a ton of other films, though. That's just some of the things that you might know him from. And then I think the final bit of the trailer is where I get a little worried. So up until, I would say, like the last 20 seconds or so, I was pretty on board. I was really excited for the tone and feel. It looks like it's Superman saving people. Something's going on. Maybe Lex Luthor's involved. There seems to be a couple creatures or beings that are tough that Superman's going to have to face. I don't know much about this movie. I've been sort of staying away from it. I just kind of want to go in pretty cold. But the end of the trailer has 2 or 3 flashes of cameos that start to worry me. One of the issues I had with DC movies is I felt like they were always a little overblown and a little forcing it to jump down to where Marvel was, where it's like, okay, Marvel set up the Avengers. How they did it was, here's a Iron Man movie, here's a Captain America movie, here's a Thor movie, here's a second Iron Man movie. Okay, now we'll do the Avengers. Like, we're going to build up to it, but really we need to make each of these movies the best that they can be. What DC did before was just jump. Okay, we've made a Superman movie. It went over relatively well with people. I had some issues with Man of Steel, but box office success. Okay, we gotta jump to Batman, Superman. We gotta jump to the Justice League. What I saw in this trailer was a Green Lantern, a Hawk Girl, maybe someone else, all from the Justice League. Are we already introducing a million superheroes? Are we sort of shoehorning them in? Are they just brief cameos? Do they matter? Are they doing something else somewhere? We don't know. Nathan Fillion looks like he's playing a Green Lantern with a really weird bowl cut. I don't know what that's about. I don't know who's playing Hawk Girl. I don't know anything about what they're doing even with that character. I didn't know that we were going to get a Green Lantern, a Hawk Girl. I didn't know we were going to do that. I don't know if there's anyone else. Like, the thing about Hawk Guy and Hawk Girl is they're like immortal beings, so they've always been around. So I could understand introducing one or two of them, both of them or one of them in there at some point in time. I get that, like, they've always been there. I just don't know if it's right in the first movie to be focusing in that particular way. Like, I would personally prefer give us a Superman movie, somewhat of an origin, him versus Lex Luthor, and let's just sort of see where it goes. But again, for all I know, these are just simple cameos. It's just like a moment or some form of the Justice League is in operation, but in its infancy, and they're trying to recruit Superman, what have you. We'll sort of find out when we see the movie. But that's the only thing that really concerned me and bothered me about the film, about the trailer, sorry, I should say. But I'm open-minded. I'll give it a shot. The rest of the trailer was quite interesting. It color scheme wise, it looked pretty good. I think if you put it up against any of the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, they do look kind of similar. So you can see the James Gunn style there. But it looked like the shots looked pretty good. It looked like it was interesting. It felt a little bit closer to what I feel Superman is. So maybe the cameos won't be an issue. But it is definitely something that I'm a little bit worried about, and it's something I'm going to be thinking about. But otherwise, I'm pretty excited about this trailer. I thought it looked really good. It got me wanting to talk about it, which is all really, really good. The DCEU is in pretty much, it's done. It's over. It's finished. So this is a reset for next year. Superman's not coming out until next summer. It'll be a big summer movie. It's really just going to be a reset. We're going to start the DC universe all over again with Superman, which is the way it should be, and we'll sort of see where they go. What I've heard about this movie is it is going to be a similar timeline to the Batman and what they did with Robert Pattinson's Batman, where Batman was in sort of year 2. Superman looks like it's going to be like a year or 2 into him being there, like he's only just moved to Metropolis from Smallville. It looks like Pa Kent is still alive from the shots in the trailer, or maybe that's a flashback, you don't know. But he's only just recently moved, and maybe he's been there a year, and he's been Superman for only about a year. Smallville kind of got that story to match the comic books, where he was Clark Kent for a long time, trying to figure out his powers, trying to figure out what to do, and it was only really when he moved to Metropolis to get a job as he was an adult. I think he's like probably in his late 20s, early 30s. He becomes Superman. Up until that point, he's hiding his powers. He doesn't know what to do. And he kind of eventually takes on that mantle. So it looks like that's what we're getting. A very similar year 2 Batman. Let's see where it goes. Again, it could be set now, and it could be a stylistic choice. To me, it just sort of screamed maybe this is 70s or 60s or a little bit earlier. But again, it's hard to tell. I'm not a big like car person or into like history of styles and all these different things. So I don't 100% know era wise. It's just from his look as Clark Kent, from some of the things people were wearing, it looked like it could be dated. But again, I would not be surprised if it's set in modern times, but just highly stylized. It is James Gunn. So we'll kind of see what that looks like. Those are my thoughts on the Superman trailer. I am overall excited for it. I don't really mind Crypto the dog as Taylor does, so we'll sort of see. We'll see how that goes. We'll see what happens there. But thank you so much for listening to my weekend ramblings about the Superman trailer. An all-new episode is coming up on Christmas Day. I will not give away what that is, but your little hint is it's the Christmas gift no one asked for. We will have that and more on it will be now Wednesday's episode of You Had Me at Skip It. Thank you, everybody, and as Taylor says, go see some movies. Thank you for listening to You Had Me at Skip It, a Soul One Arts Inc. podcast. This podcast is produced by Mike Shepard and Austin Spinner Summer. It is a project of Soul One Arts Inc. To learn more about Soul One and all the great work that Soul One is doing in the arts community, especially in film, theater, and other performing arts, visit soul1arts.ca. You can contribute to this podcast by visiting soul1arts.ca and going to the podcast tab. You'll find all the information on You Had Me at Skip It and how you can get your questions read on air each week. Thank you again for listening.